My name is Israel. I'm here local right now in Long Beach, California. Born and raised my entire life here in the South Bay of California, so I'm pretty familiar with the Inglewood, Hawthorne, Long Beach area now. I work at a refinery here in Long Beach Port, so one of the major refineries. So making all the expensive gas for everyone.
And
uh,
dealing with that Newsom tax.
yeah, that crazy Newsom tax. So
Smooth, bro. And then
yeah.
what would you say, or even if you could just describe it, like what was your prior real estate experience, right? In regards to just maybe real estate investing, maybe read like some books, or anything along
Just
those
made
lines.
just minor stuff, social media now you come across a bunch of profiles, I've seen some other guys do it. Same thing. I always had the misconception as well. Oh, Section 8, right? Oh, bad tenants, horrible tenants, you know, tenants that don't care about your property, they're gonna trash it, destroy it, they're gonna burn it, drug lords or
Set it on
or
fire,
gangs.
all this
Yeah,
bullshit.
you're gonna lose all your property, you're gonna lose all your monies, blah blah blah, so for a while, for a long time, that was my misconception, right? And once you start getting in the workforce, right, and you start seeing the way the government taxes you, I'm like,
You're like, fuck this.
a little chip changes. Like, man, hell no, bro. I'm trying to keep my money. What can I do to do that? And then you start reading on it, right? Way to pay less taxes, right? Get assets, right? Less liabilities, et cetera, et cetera. And you stumble across like the proven ones, right? Real estate.
And then what made the Section 8 part interesting to you and actually start to like change that misconception upon it as opposed to something like Airbnb. I mean, you live in like the like
Hands off,
not close to LA, but like in towards that area, and they always talk about Airbnbs and short term
hands
rents and all that
off,
shit.
hands off. I knew Airbnb was gonna be work, having to deal with tenants, coordinate cleanings, right? Make sure it's clean before the next occupancy, right? Or the next guy moves in, right? Or if I have a house and I rent it out, same thing, right? Oh, I got to get it ready for the next tenant. This guy made a hole. He punched a hole in the wall. Or he destroyed the carpet, or he destroyed the hardwood floor. I replaced the vinyl, or the paint, or the windows, or whatever, right? I like, not that Section 8 is free of that, right? Things could happen, obviously, right? But I wanted to get in something that was less hands off, where I didn't have to go and chase the tenant, right, for the payment. I think that was the biggest thing, right? I got a pretty important job where I got to be on, I got to be.
On it.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I was just like, what's the best thing for me, right? Stock market was a little too slow, right?
Yeah.
Crypto was a little too volatile. So I was just, all right, I'm gonna get into Section 8. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna do it.
Well, then not only that, bro. Like Airbnb, you do the possibility of people paying with a credit card and doing a chargeback. Then you got fucking high schoolers trying to have a party at your Airbnb, all stuff like that. But I mean, obviously, what you said is completely factual in terms of like anything can happen. But you're talking about what made the most sense for you. And the one thing I want to ask you about, because so many people ask me this shit, and I don't understand why people continue to ask me shit, is
Hmm.
did you need to see this property in person in order to actually like?
Nah, nah. Pictures,
Thank you,
pictures,
bro.
pictures are enough.
I think a lot of people still have this old school mentality. I don't know how long it's gonna take until people are in a position where they kind of like jump past it. But they think they still need to see this property in person, or they need to be there in person. They need to touch it. They need to fucking. So I'm glad that you said that, bro, because I wanted people to hear it come from you as opposed to me. I mean, I bought it
No,
without looking. Same
I
thing.
mean, I understand, the concern, right,
Yeah.
or the issues with it. But A, I'm not gonna live in it. B, right, once we move on with the interview, right. But you have a track record. You have clients, right? I've seen their videos as well. I've seen the property manager, right? And at the end of the day, like, title is not going to close on something that's fraudulent, right?
Yeah.
Title's going to do their due diligence, right, from A to Z. Make sure, hey, if you got your background check, you got your pre-qualification, the money's good, property's good, title's good, the seller's good, the realtor's good on both the buyer and the seller end. They're going to do all their paperwork, make sure that the property is legit. And if you know what, hey, if you know what, if the property doesn't work out for you and you did 15-20% down payment, you have that in equity. Keep the house, sell it to a cash tenant. I mean, rent it to a cash tenant, or just sell the property, get out of it, and you'll get your money back, right?
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't seem to grasp, and that's why I was like, oh, let me have him say it, because people don't realize
Nah,
it's like,
I
bro,
didn't see it.
it's just a matter of fucking really just doing it, because I did it, other people
Pictures
did
and
it.
videos, bro. Pictures and videos. Nowadays, there's so much information. You can get pictures. You can pay someone to go get pictures, look at the property, take a video of it, right? If you pay the inspection company, they see it. They take pictures, they take videos as well. So, no, I didn't have to. And if you trust, if you trust your guidance and you trust what the property manager says as well, and they've screened and they've gone through a bunch of Section 8 interviews too with the Section 8 Housing Authority, right? They know what to look for, right? They know what they're going to ask, right? And they're like, "Oh, we got to fix X, Y, and Z, or it needs this, or that looks good, blah blah blah. Let's move forward."
Makes life a whole lot easier. And then also like that, it's like I don't mean in a disrespectful way, but it's like who the fuck wants to go to Cleveland? Like, like you know, like why
I
are
ain't
you
trying to
gonna
go, bro.
want?
I ain't trying to go.
That's what I told homie Alexis too. When we went out there, we were like, fuck, we honestly didn't even need to come out here besides that content and stuff.
It's cool to check it out. Hey,
Yeah, like
you mark it off, right?
it's
Yeah, oh, I'm
underwhelming.
going to
It's
Cleveland.
underwhelming. Yeah,
I'd be like, all right, cool, but like everyone comes to California for a reason, right?
yeah. No, it's underwhelming. And how time consuming do you think it would have been, or even like costly to go and find all that shit yourself, like the realtors, the brokers, so you don't have to go there, right? Like to put that all together on your own. Like
I don't
how
know, maybe if I take into consideration the time lost at work, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 grand. You got flights, right? A good place to stay. I'm probably not gonna go for a 1 day and out, right? I'll probably be searching for properties 3 days. Probably have to rent a car, or maybe be out there a week, right? 'Cause maybe the first one falls through, doesn't work, or just little stuff, right? Or the combination on the lock box isn't it. Now I gotta wait for the realtor to come out, but they can't come out till tomorrow. That's another day of stay I gotta pay for. So it's a little stuff that you don't take into consideration that adds up. It's always the little stuff, man. 5 nickels. Next thing you know, you got a quarter. It's like fuck.
it's facts. That's facts. That's a bar, bro. That's a fucking bar. And then, what would you say was the one thing, or maybe if there was multiple that made you like choose working with us over other people in the space like you were talking about that you saw on Instagram and profiles and all this stuff?
Well, honestly,
That
I've been
and
following.
people with maybe bigger followings or other things.
Yeah,
along those
sure.
lines.
Yeah, because that's originally how I got into it, right? Was with one of like the biggest names in it, right? And same thing, I got in that program too. But same thing, there was so many people that you just became a number, right? Or you just became another notification that probably never got talked to or never got reached out, or you asked a question, maybe it takes a week, right? And I know a lot of people use the word connection, right? Kind of loosely, but it's true though, man. Like when you have a question and you have this kind of amount of money and time invested into something, right? When you reach out to someone, right, it's because you're insecure, right? You have a question, you honestly have a doubt, and when that person reaches back out to you quickly, within a minute, 2 minutes. I think the most I've gone without receiving a reply has been maybe 5 minutes, right? And it's someone in the Discord, right, or someone on a text that you can hit up, right? It's access, right? It's that connection, right? You be like, oh man, this guy's replying to me, like almost like if he was like my cousin or my brother or my family, right? Like this, or the homie. You get me? Like, man, this guy replied quick, right? Why? Because he
Yeah.
probably cares, right? And he has a good info. So I think that's, to me, that's what kind of sparked the interest going with you. Aside from you being local, if I had questions or if I ever needed to do a meetup, hey man, you know what? Like I'm kind of doubting this, or my paperwork. Can you look over my paperwork? Can we meet up? For me, that's what it was, right? Everyone else was out of state or too far for me to kind of build that trust with. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, he's right here down the street, in Ontario. Cool. If I ever wanted to meet up or meet him personally to get some boost the confidence or build a relationship or the trust, I knew it was right there.
Well, yeah, you're over here like, oh shit. Well, it's either I have someone that's gonna be local and obviously that walk talks that looks like me, but or you're gonna deal with someone that's in a fucking Miami penthouse that's not gonna respond to anything I fucking said.
Exactly.
So you say that the longest you probably waited for us to respond to you was probably like 5 minutes.
Yeah, or if I left like a message overnight, right? Next morning I woke up and it was answered on the chat, either by you, right, or by multiple people, right? All giving different angles of the answer or better explanation.
And you feel like that was one of the biggest things that made you, more secure with working with us, or just going and taking the steps down.
Yeah, to me that was key, right? Because I had a basic understanding, right? But it's always like the little stuff, man. It's always the
Yeah.
little stuff that throws you off, right? Like, for example, the most recent thing that happened was when I asked you about the whole insurance thing, right? I got this big ass packet, right? Right. I have a house with my brother, right? But I wasn't part of the buying process or the paperwork process, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of knew how it works, but I didn't know all the little stuff, right? So when I asked you, I was like, "Hey, yo, I got this big ass packet. I logged into my insurance account, right? My policy, and it's just like, hey, man, all whatever X amount of money paid in full due." And I was like, "Oh shit, what the hell?" Like fuck, I didn't take that into consideration, right? I knew I was gonna have to pay insurance, but my thought process was, okay, it's monthly, right? And I factored that into the monthly, with the mortgage, and then I looked at my mortgage paperwork right from the closing, and it had the mortgage amount, and underneath it had the insurance. I was just like, what the hell am I paying for insurance twice, or what is this? And I hit you up, and nah, man, don't even trip. The insurance is paid in full. Whatever, the lender needs the insurance paid in full for a year, blah blah blah, to secure the loan. Don't even trip. Don't worry about that. What you're gonna pay for essentially is you're paying back the insurance on a monthly basis, but you're paying them back, but you have insurance for a year.
Yeah. But then also I was like, bro, like I was like, David would have already been calling me or texting me and telling me like, hey, this is this. But I got plenty of those packets, bro. They just send them as like automated, and it probably, I'm assuming, right? I could be wrong. It's like it kind of just like dropped the relief on your shoulders, or like dropped the weight. You're like, oh, that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, because it's money, It's just like
Yeah.
fuck. It's just like I told you earlier, right? It's just the little stuff that adds up, and you're just like, you're like, oh man, I was contemplating paying it monthly, right? Not fucking all
Yeah.
at once. I was like, oh damn.
Well, yeah, it's like when you walk out of your house over here in Cali. It's like you're almost gonna spend $100 just for walking outside,
Just to breathe the fresh air.
just to breathe the fucking California air.
Yeah, $100, boom.
Fucking and talking about like Cali, like what made you appeal or like look into it and lean into investing in an out of state property instead of buying in California? Because I mean, Section 8 is the investing type, but not a matter of the out of state versus the in state type of thing.
I think for me it was. I mean, anyone that tells you that it's not about the cash flow or it's not about the money, right? I think they're lying, right? It's always about the money, right? When it comes to investing, right? You're putting up your hard-earned money. You're trying to make money on that as well, right? It's a form of currency, right? Whether you're talking about like energy or you're talking about actual dollars, right? I'm putting up this money. I'm expecting for it to make money in return, right? I work hard for it. I want it to work hard for me now. So for me, if I wanted to get into any kind of property here, right, whether it was like a duplex, triplex, right, even in the hood, I mean, you're talking about 800,000, right,
Yeah,
minimum, even in the hood, duplex, right, and if I wanted to secure a 3% loan on that, I was gonna have to move in,
yeah,
right, and I was just like, well, that's gonna eat my cash flow, right? I'm not gonna pay 4 grand for my part of the duplex, and then have the other tenant pay like another three, right? Who's gonna rent the other one for three, right? It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
yeah. In the
Like
hood.
nobody, bro. Like you get me, like, or I gotta pay more on my end, or I gotta find someone that will pay more on their end. It's just not gonna happen. I was just like, you know what? I got a place to live. I'm thankful, and I'm an opportunity. Let's talk the numbers. Numbers made sense. Out of state was a move.
That makes sense. And then what kind of surprised you the most out of all that shit? Because I mean, there's the numbers analysis from a hypothetical standpoint, and there's actually like doing it. Like once you were
Yeah.
actually in it, did it seem like now that you look back at it, did it seem a lot harder than it actually was? Like actually doing the fucking thing versus what it seemed as,
Honestly,
like on
no.
the grand scheme?
Honestly, honestly, the whole process, man, is honestly really straightforward. Like, there's nothing that's gonna like come out from the side, right? Nothing that's gonna chin check you when you're not looking. Like, it's all straightforward, man. Pre-qualification straightforward, right? What does he want? All right, your W-2s. He wants your bank statements. Where if you already had the money, all right, cool. If not, where did the money come from? Show proof. Qualify. Boom, you're done. All right, look for your properties now, right? Same thing, and then go through that whole process, right? Make sure the property actually appraises for what you're gonna buy it for, right? Right now you got to walk through the whole appraisal process. Boom, same thing. For me, that was hands off. I didn't do anything. Just paid, right? Paid. They came out. They scheduled the whole thing. I didn't have to do nothing. And then you have after the appraisal, right? And then you negotiations. Same thing. Honestly, straightforward, man. Just do what you're told.
I'm chilling.
Yeah, honestly, you're chilling, man. Like, honestly, I say, hey, man, you gotta, hey, turn this in. All right, here's the portal. Put it in there. Boom. All right, here's that. Hey, you need to pay for the appraisal. They're coming out Wednesday. You gotta pay for it before 2 days in advance. All right, boom, paid for it. Boom. All right, cool. Here you go. All right. Honestly, bro, as long as you got the money, honestly, it's
And you don't
straightforward.
bullshit. And you don't
There
bullshit.
ain't nothing to it, bro. There's really nothing to it, bro. The lender's not gonna give you the money for a property that's not worth it, right? If he's trying to sell it for $120, and the appraisal says it's worth 100, lender's not gonna give you 120. They're like, no, it's worth 100. I'm gonna give you 100. So I mean, really, it's almost, I wouldn't say bulletproof, right? Because I'm pretty sure there's a way you can still mess things up, but honestly, nah, man. And then the biggest surprise for me was, everyone that tells you online, 800, $80,000 home, they exist all day. They're probably gonna have some repair work needed. right? Not all of them, but I'm sure you can come across some that are gonna need some kind of repairs, right? When they tell you this 15% down, or you're gonna come out of pocket 12 grand, I'll tell you right now, it's a lie. They're not being 100% deceitful, right? Or they're not trying to trick you, right? But there are some hidden costs that they don't tell you. Like I
Exactly.
said, the appraisal, the inspection, right? That alone, right there, in my case, 1,200 bucks, 1,300 bucks. I didn't take that into consideration, right? I was like, all right, 15% down, I'm gonna get $120,000 home. All right, 15 grand, boom, 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 boom. And you know my numbers, right? I was like, hey, this is how much I took out, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. I'm not expecting to pay more because that's what I was told, right, online but no, man, you got the appraisal, you got the inspection, and then you got the holding cost if there is a holding cost, right? And then you got to pay realtor fee, loan docs, blah
And
blah
that's what, yeah,
blah.
and that's what I
So
was telling you on Instagram
so it's not
Instagram
it's not what they
DM.
tell you.
Exactly.
It's definitely not what they tell you. Yeah, they're right. It is 15% down, 100%. They're not lying about that, but then they're not telling you everything else, right? So whatever they tell you, add another. All in all, I would probably say 20 to 25% will get you in the door with closing costs, loan docs, appraisals, inspections, holding costs, excess paperwork, and repairs. Right? I say conservatively, whatever the house value is, just think about 20 grand gone. I mean, 20 to 25% gone. Right?
And that's what I was telling you on IG. I was like, look, bro, there's a hypothetical where you see, hey, people say, oh, seller finances property 80,000. You're gonna put down fucking $5 and a McChicken,
They
and you're gonna
exist,
get
bro.
it.
They exist.
And it exists in hypothetical, but you're like, bro, what the fuck? Like, this is not gonna be the universal scenario for everybody. You know
Well,
what I'm
that's what I
saying?
told you. Remember, I was just like, all right, cool. I had 20 grand, right? After everything, right? After paying you, I was like, all right, I have 21 grand, right? All right, cool, right? And then when you get hit with that number, cash to close, you're just like, fuck, where did all this other money, where did all these other fees come from, right? Or where
Yeah.
did all these other charges come from? And then you just look at the paperwork. Obviously, the paperwork's right, right? Like cash to close, loan docs, preparation fees, blah blah. And then you got the realtor wants their money, right? On the buyer's agent, the seller's agent want their cut. Next thing you know, like I said, like in my case, I was in all 26 grand, right? So there was an extra 6 grand that I didn't contemplate or think about, right? Like you said, I mean, 15% was a 15%, but it was that extra, 9 grand that caught me by surprise.
Yeah, the fees, bro. That's how they be. That's how they be getting you, bro. That's why I tell people like, there's a hypothetical and then there's a fucking real world scenario after the conservative fees and then the holding costs and miscellaneous and all that shit. And it's
Yeah,
just a matter of factoring that in and also still running that shit.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then like with that being said, like how would you describe like working with us to like a homie, someone you work with, or someone that's just not never met us? I know we were talking about this before the interview and
I
stuff.
already did, man. I mean, I've already talked about it, and luckily for me, in the field I work with, it's really well paid. So I mean, people got money, right? And then it's just it's a different atmosphere, it's a different environment when you work with people that got money, right, and that work for it, right. They don't want to keep working for it. They want to make their money work for you, invest, right? So every day it's, hey, stock market, crypto. What's the next big investment? Hey, let's team up. Let's pull some money together. Let's invest in X, Y, and Z. Multiply our money, right? So, hey, I was like, hey, man, I got in this thing, and everyone kind of knows about it, right? Like, oh, Section 8 thing. Oh, out of state, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, how was it? Who'd you work with? What do you do? How much was it? How much are you making? Blah blah blah. So it's like when you work around people that got money, man, they're just talking about how to multiply and make it grow, right? Not from a like from a hoarding perspective, but hey, man, like I'm not trying to fucking work,
They work
bust my ass
forever.
off for the rest of my year, bro. Like this is hard work, I'm not trying to do this for the rest of my life. Yeah, the money's good, but it'd be much better if I could make this amount of money, investing in something, right?
No, that makes sense.
So
And
yeah, I talked about it to a bunch of people already.
yeah, because especially like that, because it would be considered blue collar, right? Or am I tripping?
Yeah,
Like in the blue collar field, you're in a position where you understand that despite the amount of money that you're making, your body's not gonna fucking be in tip top
yeah, bro.
shape
It's
forever,
it's
bro.
it's it's,
Because of
it's
the
horrible hours, bro. Hours are tough, man. It'll kill you, slowly. Yeah, money's good, but everything has a price, right? It sounds cliche. Everyone says it. Hey, everything has a price. You know what? It's 100% true. You're gonna pay for it somehow. Whether it's your health, whether it's family time, whether it's personal time, whether it's gonna be money or X, Y, and Z. Whatever that cost looks like to you, there's always a price. always a price. And in this case, it just happens to be with time and health, you know. And they don't want to do that for the next, 40 years, you know.
Makes
I gotta find a way to make money outside. You know how they say, make money when you sleep. You know.
Yeah. And then what would you tell alongside what you had talked about in regards to like the people that work with you or homies or someone that doesn't know us, like what would you say to someone about getting over the fence in regards to investing in Section 8 or just reaching out to us in general?
You see that's tough, bro. That's a tough one because if the person is not ready, no matter what you say, you're not gonna convince them,
Yeah,
right? When the
no,
person is not
100%.
ready, it doesn't matter what you say, right? They're always gonna find a doubt. Well, what about this? What if, like we talked about earlier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
What if they burn it? What if they trash it? What if they don't pay? What if this, right? When a person is not ready, bro, no, it doesn't matter what you say. There's no word good enough for you to convince them or to make them believe what you're saying, bro. Right? But when on the other side, when the person is ready, bro, when the people that actually are ready or actually want to do it or about it, bro, like are the people that are be like, all right, how much is it? Boom, I paid it. Boom. All right, cool, let's move forward. What do I gotta do?
Mm.
Right? They're the people that talk the least, right?
Yeah,
Like, hey,
100%.
I'm ready, bro. Like, all right, cool, let's do it. How much is it? All right, cool, where do I pay you? All right, cool, here you go. Right? But the people that are doubters are just like they got a million excuses, bro.
Exactly,
A
bro.
million excuses. So like, to answer your question, like with people at work, bro, like I don't gotta convince them, bro. Like they're already probably doing a side gig or making money on the side doing something, right? They already know it works, right? Now they want to see me make the money, right? And they're like, all right, cool. I knew it worked or I had an idea it worked, but now that I got someone in my in my vicinity, right, in my inner circle, my close circle, that I see him getting paid. All right, cool. That's the proof of concept, right? I don't need to ask 100,000 more questions. That fool's making money, and I know him. He's been here x amount of years. He's trustworthy. He's making money. All right, it works. Cool. What do I got to do?
Yeah, no, that's facts though, because especially with regards to like sometimes in like when I was working in a restaurant, there's a lot of people that had like a not necessarily saying that every single spot has it, but they have like a sometimes a crabs in the bucket mentality. So it's also in a position where the second they see that
Yeah,
it works, they realize, okay,
yeah,
fuck it, let's run it, type of shit, and they'd rather learn from the process of somebody else doing it as opposed to them doing it and then being in a position where they have to be not necessarily the guinea pig, but the first person to go and step out of the comfort zone and all that, you know.
yeah. No,
But no,
100%, man.
that's a really good answer, bro. In regards to the whole fence, it's just a
Yeah,
matter of
100%, bro.
being
It's
in a
just
position where either they want to do it or they don't. So when someone's saying like they're on the fence, like you just don't want to do it. It's either you're gonna do it or
yeah.
you're
I think it just depends too on that person's position in life, where they're at in life, right? Like, are they really fed up with where they're at? Are they fed up enough to the point where they're gonna try and make a change and get out of there, right? Or are they just gonna fucking
not.
complain and stay there, bro? Like I'm sure you've come across people like that. Nothing wrong, no shade too. I worked at Hofers for 10 years too, and I was always skeptical about everything, right? I was like, nah, man, I need to work for my money because that's what I was taught. Hey, work for your money, right? So I was like, nah, man. So when I seen people leaving Whole Foods back then, when I was making, for that time, good money at Whole Foods, being a supervisor, I was like, man, why would you leave? Why would you leave? It's good money. It's reliable. Grocery stores aren't going nowhere. Scared. It's the same thing, bro. So I think it just depends. How fed up you are with your situation and how bad you want to make a change.
No, that makes sense, bro. No, that's a really solid ass answer. It's actually a different perspective that I got from an interview of someone that we helped out in that regard. And before I wrap this up, in terms of the interview side, because I still want to chop it up with you after, is there any like last things you want to say to anyone that's watching in regards to either the process, either in regards to maybe their certain situation, thoughts they may have, or even just thoughts that you have in regards to anything?
Look, honestly, I my best piece of advice, just going through with it, man. If you got the money, pay for the full service. I mean, he's gonna run it for you. You got questions, he's gonna ask. He's gonna answer them no matter what. Solid team, everyone from like Mark from lending, right, to Alexis, to you, to Crystal, the realtor. I mean, there was days when she was working on Saturdays, bro. She would go take pictures on Saturdays. Like she's really about it, trying to get this property closed, right? Obviously, she has some kind of financial incentive as
Yeah.
well, right? But she was on it, bro. On days that were considered her days off, she was running the game even late at night, early in the morning, bro. I would wake up, I would have message from her from 5 in the morning or sometimes like 8 o'clock at night, and she's out in Cleveland, right? So that's I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 hour difference, whatever it is, but I mean, she was running the game all the time. So I say, if you got the money, man, just pay for Javier to just fucking get you from A to Z, bro. All you really got to do, bro, is is do B and Y, and then Javier will get you from A to Z, bro. Just do what you're told in between, bro. Hey, fill this out, do this, turn this in, do that. Like literally, bro, you can't screw it up, man. Unless you can't read, bro, or you're on purposely trying to mess it up, bro. You really can't mess it up. So it works. Obviously, I'm here. I'm telling you, it works. I'm in California. It works. I'm out of state. It works. Just do it, man. If you're looking for the perfect interview to get started, or you're looking for the perfect case study, obviously you're not gonna do it, bro. You keep looking for excuses,
Yeah,
But if you got the money, man, you're not scared. Take the risk. Do it. It's not even a risk, honestly, bro. Like the USA ain't going nowhere. The government ain't going nowhere. Section ain't going nowhere. You know,
they ain't gonna stop paying, bro.
the government
They ain't gonna
pays,
stop
bro.
paying.
Hey, the government pays, bro. The government is not gonna let hundreds of thousands of people go without a home. The program is here to stay, right? They pay the best rents. You're gonna get the best rents for your property, right? Do your job. Make sure your tenants are good. Other than that, man, they ain't much to it, bro. I mean, straightforward, easy process. Like even outside of your program, right? Just talking before I was even a client, right? Right before you were the mentor, before any of that, and I was hit you up on Instagram. You're responding to me back then with the same type of urgency as you are now, right? I was like, hey man, I got this question, right? I didn't even pay you $1, right? I had questions. I was curious. Hey, how does this work? How does that work? And boom, hey, now check this out. This is how it is. This is how it is. Boom, boom, boom. Quick, right? And I was like, ah, man, cool. This. And at no point were you pushy. Hey, are you gonna pay? Are you gonna do this? At no point did you cut me off when I had questions. You're like, hey, yeah, you know what, man? If you want me to answer those questions, well, you gotta pay for a phone call or you gotta get in the group. Like nothing, bro. Like straight up, like you had for me it felt like you had no incentive to try to close me. Like I was like, all right, cool. Like he's not really trying to get my money. Some people are like, oh, they're just trying to fucking
Yeah,
get your
they're gonna
money.
charge you
Like
fucking
trying to
$100
push
for
you.
5 minutes on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. And it never felt like that to me. And I
That,
seen the proof, and I seen the way you carried yourself, and from someone from my generation. I'm only 35. But the way someone respects you and the way someone talks to you just means a lot. And it builds that trust. So I was like, oh, if I'm gonna go with anyone, man, I want to go with someone that's local, nearby, right? Has done it, right, and has respected me as a person before a customer, right? When I was reaching out for questions. So
yeah, bro.
to me, that was what kind of like set it in stone. I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. This is where I'm gonna go. If I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. But I'm just gonna bullshit. With
Yeah,
the
like
money.
yeah. Hell yeah, bro. No, I really appreciate that, bro. That's one of the biggest things I always try to focus on is just that being in a position where one, you're relational, not transactional. Two, understanding that you're gonna provide as much value as possible with no sort of expectation of anything in return. And then alongside that, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I was responding as fucking fast as I can on Instagram, even if I was like boxing, trying to respond, all to get all that shit. Because people value that, and this is what shows it, right? People in terms of the speed, because there's times where you may be dealing with some sort of complication, you don't get the speed of response, and by the time that you get a response from somebody, you don't even have that fucking problem anymore because you already tried to figure it
Yeah,
out. But
yeah.
no, that makes sense. Fuck yeah, I appreciate you, bro. I'll wrap it up, and I still want to talk to you afterwards.